head of the Smelter division at the Rand Refinery. This managing exec does not just believe in refining gold. He believes in refining people. Terance Nkosi believes in empowering others and making metallurgy look sexy. Join me as I discover what drives this ambitious man. I'm going to put you on the hot spot.
No, it's fine. Had I known what I know now, I would encourage any young person that South Africa is a mining house.
Terance, welcome to the show. How are you feeling?
Thank you. I feel great to be here.
I'm glad that you feel great. I really am interested in talking to you purely because of the area that you're in terms of your work. You are a young person. And you look it as well.
Thank you.
Terance, you grew up in Emalafeni, which is a coal mining area, so to say. And you obviously studied chemical engineering as well.
Sure.
Did that have anything to do with your decision to study chemical engineering coming from Emalafeni?
Actually, it's interesting that you asked that question because I grew up in a time where there were not a lot of careers for black people.
Okay.
So originally I was going to be a cop.
Yes.
Because in the family there was no engineer or anything.
Yes.
It's only my twin brother wanted to be a doctor.
You have a twin brother?
We don't look alike, but people say that, so I have to call it that.
Wow. And which area of work is he in?
He's a gynecologist.
He's a gynecologist?
Yeah, so I'm also a part-time gynecologist. He's a part-time engineer as well, so we get interchange careers.
Okay, sorry I interrupted. I just got caught off because you said twin. I always find that so fascinating, but sure, go ahead. You're explaining your background.
So when I was in high school, I had the privilege of going to a Rand school. A Rand school,
yes,
as you said, that's the school supported by Duva mine. Okay. And then what had happened is we were being taught by some good teachers there.
Yes.
And they were white teachers for teaching black kids.
Okay.
And then it was around about 1993. Some students will say, especially the girls, one girl actually made a joke saying, I want to be a baby maker, man. And the teacher was horrified.
Oh, of course.
And some were even mentioning careers like to be an artisan. But in fact, those classmates at the time, they were very good in maths and science. So for me, when I said I wanted to be a cop, they didn't like that at all. So what ended up happening is that when I won the Maths Olympiad in the same year,
then you won the Maths Olympiad.
Yes, I was one of the three in the Maths Olympiad.
Top three
at the school.
Number one. Oh,
in the school.
In the school,
they were taking the top threes in the Maths Olympiad, and then we made part of the 18 schools.
Okay.
And we came to the University of Pretoria. 18 schools around the Witbank area.
Okay.
So when I arrived there, we went to the School of Engineering, and the lady who took us, they introduced the concept of engineering for me. And further to that, as you said, coming after reading, I realized that chemical engineering is about converting resources and trying to make products out of it, which is what we do in Witbank. Particularly, I wanted to do petrol, which is what Sasol does, which is what chemical engineers do.
Yes.
So I was very interested to be that kind of an engineer.
Okay.
But unfortunately, I ended up being a metallurgist.
Talking about that, actually, you are in the metallurgy industry,
obviously
at the Rand Refinery, and am I correct in saying that you are heading up the smelter operations?
That is true.
Just out of interest, just to share with everyone and with myself as well, what do you do on a day-to-day basis? What does that mean, smelter operations?
Just to summarize, the smelter is one of the three core areas at the Rand Refinery. That's a revenue generator for the company. Okay. On a day-to-day business, what I do is that I run a team of I think 6 direct reports, and about a team of about 19 totally indirect. So what we do is that we take low-grade materials from the mines, local mines, from secondary producers, from local, from international. We beneficiate them. The incoming materials comes in at almost 300 grams per ton. So to put that into context, if you take a sachet of sugar and you put it in a ton of material bag, that is what we recover in terms of gold.
Oh wow!
So you can see how minute it is to extract that.
Yes.
So we do that for I think we recover about 6 tons of gold, 6 to 10 tons of gold per year, and 10 to 30 tons of silver per year. So that's the stuff that we took, what was declared as lost, concentrated to our main refinery, where they further purified it.
Now, you spoke about 6 people reporting into you.
Yes.
I'm going to put you on the hot spot.
No, it's fine.
Of those 6 people, how many of them are women?
True. Okay, I used to have women,
Yes.
and unfortunately, because of promotion, and some left the company because it was not an easy, it was not a conducive environment, so they left.
Okay.
But I'm on the recovery space of bringing women. Directly, I don't have, but indirectly, we've managed to increase from 0 when I took over in 2008. Now I've got about 13.
Are you finding that there just isn't an interest for women in this area? Or is it a case of, like, what is the reason as to why we only have so few women in this area?
You know, when I looked at the previous 2 ladies that I had, especially the one that I lost, she went back to the former company that she joined before. I looked at the rules. The rules were not conducive. Things like being, let's say you employ mothers.
Yes.
You can't apply the same rule as for guys, you know. For example, let's say for a woman to call in meetings at about 8 p.m. You know, not to say it's exclusivity like that, but you know, sometimes not realistic. Men, we tend to get away with a lot of things. For women, it might not be the case. You know, and as well as let's say there's no, we work in an area where you don't carry cell phones, for an example.
Okay.
So she couldn't connect with the kid. You know, sometimes the kid will phone and then she's not available. So those kind of things.
Wow.
So on that space, we had to really look at what do we have. Even, I mean, the ablution facilities we didn't have for women.
Okay.
So we had to change the whole infrastructure around that to cater, to create a good environment so that women can feel as if they are part of, rather than as an add-on or part of compliance.
Sure. So when you consider people for your direct reports, would you consider a woman, given all the challenges that you just cited, that you don't, you know, you're not allowed to bring in cell phones, they can't call kids? If a woman does obviously have the qualification as well as the passion, would you consider her for the role? You would?
Yes. Currently I'm part of the employment equity as well as Rand Refinery.
Okay.
And part of the wish was to introduce at least 2 women in as my direct reports. And we're on a drive that any new incumbents were targeting women, especially black women.
Okay.
So that they repopulate our section, and we're also trying to make metallurgy sound sexy, you know. I mean, it's always blue overalls and all that, but we try and make it encouraging so that they can stay and live on.
All right.
And this thing of having rigid hours, we're really looking at that. Flexi hours, so long as if the output is there, we're really looking at that.
This is very encouraging for me, purely because there's a lot of young people who are going to be watching this show, this episode in particular, who are interested in that area. And obviously it sounds very encouraging to hear from someone who's heading up a division to say you are welcoming women into your space. So that for me is very encouraging to hear.
I must say, one of the things that I as you asked me earlier, why chemical and I ended up as a metallurgist, had I known what I know now, I would encourage any young person that South Africa is a mining house, and even Africa at large, we shouldn't be ashamed of it. So what we should be doing is to galvanize all our talent to make sure that there's maximum representation and skill and talent in the field of metallurgy, because that's where the future of Africa is. That's what China is doing anyway. Why don't we do it first?
Sure.
Mr. Nkosi is a people's person.
Terance is one person that believes in development of people.
He's a great humble leader. So far, he has been a very good boss.
He definitely encourages women empowerment.
When it's work, it's work. It's play. He's a hard-working, dedicated person.
Now, Terance, looking at the area that you're in as in metallurgy, it's not the safest, job in the world. How are you guys addressing that, the safety element?
Okay, I think first and foremost, safety is one of our values in the company where I work, especially in the area where I work. We run a part of metallurgical process where it involves heat. In the process of gold recovery, you are exposed to extreme temperatures as high as over 1,000 degrees Celsius. And what we saw over time is that if you can retrofit better technology to cover for that, and don't go cheap, but because if you value people and you value their lives, there is technology that can address those things, and there is the intelligence out there that can assist you to make informed decisions. So what we did, we started to introduce new technology. First, to make sure that we operate in a lead environment, as you said, and lead is not good for pregnant women because it can create certain side effects. Hence, that's why there were no females employed in my section.
Okay.
So what we did first and foremost, we invested in a better extraction system, which enabled us to make sure that the environment or the air that we breathe is conducive enough to even allow women to work in that space. Okay? So that's the first thing that we did. The second one, to address the LTIs, we mechanized things and we made the process better.
Yeah.
As we speak, I mean, we are operating at 2,200 days being LTI free, which means the last LTI we had was 5 years ago.
Wow.
And that's the record that you don't get you allowed in the smelters.
Okay,
You
so
don't have that.
so you are
So we are proud
shining
of that.
bright.
Yes. We are trying to make sure that we are shining on that space.
Oh, wow. Congratulations
No, thank you.
on that. And obviously another issue which is affecting a lot of people in the country is things like wage issues.
Yes.
How are you guys addressing that? Are you having incidences of protests regarding that? Or is it an area that you just have a strategy for and you don't expect for this to
I
hit
must
you?
say that one hits everyone, especially the mining. I must
Okay.
say, and
Okay.
even the production space where we are at. We come from a country where there's certain imbalances,
Yeah.
and we cannot ignore that. As we speak, I mean, we are part of the wage negotiation. I know that our union is still negotiating with management, so we do have those issues. Last year we had a strike where the workers actually left the work of place for about 2 to 3 weeks. So we were running short of staff. My section was affected by that. When I look at that personally, we have issues.
Yeah.
And then I hope that with the new way of thinking, we can realize that and address it.
So I understand that you're also doing your MBA.
Yes.
And what are you hoping to do with that MBA? Why did you even go into it? Because it just takes up so much time. You have 2 kids. How are you managing all of that, and what do you hope the MBA will do for you?
Wow. Okay. Let me start with the managing part. First, it's important that I've got an understanding wife who's very supportive, and my kids. I know they don't get to see me a lot.
Okay.
But I've got 2 young boys, who really adore me. And then from the space of using the MBA, I took the MBA originally as a qualification. Like originally the thought was, let's have an MBA. But upon going there, I realized the network of relationships that is there. And when you really listen to the material that's presented, it actually challenges us, especially to the topic we mentioned previously about inequality.
Yeah.
For me, I'm trying to redress that. That's why I went all out to say, what am I going to do with the state of women in our country? I mean, I try to employ more women, and I try to say, if we negotiate, if people can improve in their work life, if there's a training that we can afford them, that you can't have somebody who comes in as an operator and dies as an operator. In my career, I had I don't know whether it's a privilege or misfortune of reading a biography of somebody who worked for the company for 43 years. Somebody was retiring in my section when I took over.
Yes.
And the person had worked for 43 years and he was promoted to drive a forklift. When you read such a thing, I felt embarrassed that there was no development.
Yeah.
So hence, when I took over, I encouraged my team to go back to school if we could, to study and upgrade. As you speak, my entire team is studying.
The entire team is
My entire team is studying. I'm doing the MBA. My direct reports are either doing an MSc in metallurgy. One guy just finished. One is doing financial modeling. Some of the students, the indirect ladies, they're all studying. I've encouraged them that BTech is not enough. They can do something more. So the MBA, I'm hoping that for me, it's not just going to be a qualification. So far, I've made a nice network of friends. Through MBA, I've got friends in the DRC that I can claim at the moment that did go to visit DRC. I did find some material that you can get from DRC as part of the MBA. But above all, I have a network of the lecturers and friends that should ever I need something into the future, I can be able to give it to the company.
You are obviously, you will get your qualification, but moreover, you're establishing relationships that will benefit you in your current place of work.
Exactly.
Wow.
And as you speak as well, I mean, I even though I'm in the mining, gold space, I know of all the guys now in our mining. I know what's happening in Africa. I know what's happening in Argentina. I didn't realize in Argentina there are mining operations. We are not there yet.
Yes.
And we're supposedly to be the biggest refinery.
Okay.
So in the world, so these are the things that we look at, and I take that almost cheap intelligence back to the organization to say what are we doing to position ourselves for years to come.
Okay. Terance, now, we've spoken about your big job at a young age. We've spoken about your, your passion to further yourself regarding your MBA. I just want to know, as a black man, as a young black man, what are currently some of the challenges you are facing at the level that you are at in your place of work?
Sure. That's a very interesting thing, first and foremost, the challenges coming up from where I'm from. I think there's a lot of expectation. I'm the first black smelter manager in the company in our history of probably 100 years.
The first black. Say that again.
First black manager, I think, yes, first black manager. And there's a lot of expectation. A few years ago, I think I was the first black executive member in the team at the age of 31. So that was not easy, and there's a lot of expectation. People want you to do certain things, and you also want to deliver, so also to don't fail. Almost like you carry that baton, so you need to push a lot of hours so that you're not the guy who's going to drop the ball. So it has not been easy. I must be honest. It took a lot of effort, a lot of time, and sometimes when you present your stuff, you need to be sure, that when you present good information.
Yes.
And because we represent a lot of people, it's not about you, but it's about the people we represent, and for the future as well, for consideration. So those are the things at play at the moment. And then from the workforce, they see you as a symbol of hope, and they come and share some of the things, especially around the remuneration, to say, since you've got a black manager, can you do something? If there are complaints, can you do something? So those are the things that we try and balance as well.
So you almost become an outlet for most people. They're comfortable enough to come to you because by virtue of the fact that you are black.
At one stage, I actually felt I'm an HR person, no longer an engineer. So when did I become an HR person?
Oh my goodness. So, that's interesting. The first black manager in a long time. I want to talk about, black people progressing.
Yes.
What do you think is holding us back? It's not even an African problem.
Yes.
I think we can agree that it's a global problem. That there's not enough, of black young people assuming quite big roles in corporate companies. What do you think is that thing that's holding some of us back?
First, I think
because there's not enough of us assuming those roles.
The part about not enough of us, there are a lot of young black talented people, because I got to experience that. I'm part of the Rising Star initiative with Black Productions, where I actually won the award in 2012.
You won the award?
Yes, I won the award in the mining and minerals category in 2012 as the Rising Star.
And now you're a judge.
And now I was a judge.
But we'll talk to that. We'll come back to that.
Yes. When you realize the talent that is out there, the only issue is support structure for black people.
It's
support structures.
Okay.
Yes, because you can rise up, but if you get to an environment which is not supportive, which is not conducive, what do? You walk out. For some of us, especially for me, it was not easy, as I said. But I thank the coach that I had, Sidi Nyama. I had the privilege of being coached by Sidi Nyama for 4 years. She told me a lot of things, because I got to experience a lot of things. Some of them were painful. And some of them were exciting, But she told me to hang in there, not to give up. So it's one of the values that I have, is not to give up. And it's not about me, because I'm here to serve as well.
I like that you're here to serve.
Yes, I'm here to serve, because one of the mistakes is that as you ascend the corporate ladder, you think people are here to serve you. But in fact, it's the other way around. But for us black people, what holds us back is ability of not having network. And let's say you are being given an opportunity at a young age, you sort of like think as if you deserve it. And then you start to change your character. People change characters, and they start demanding. I see that sometimes. In certain young people. And for me, as I said, it did once or twice nearly caught up with me. But thanks to the coach that I had, she put me on back, because my character was changing because of the position. So I had to learn very quickly that irrespective of position, whether in future I'll be a board member or anything, I should remain as Terance Nkosi.
Wow.
Because I am who I am. I cannot let the situation dictate who I am.
Sure. That's very, very, very important. Does your religion play a big role in how you manage people?
Yes.
In what way?
First, one thing is my religion, Christianity, teaches me that as a young person,
Yes.
is I'm here to serve, as I said.
Yes, yes.
You know, it is through serving others very well, you realize that you actually uplift them. And in the process of uplifting people,
Yes.
you realize that at the end of your career, it was not about the bonuses, about the money that you make, it's about the lives that you changed. If you can touch people's lives,
that's amazing.
that is what I'm striving for.
Wow. Is this a newfound philosophy, or do you find that you've always just had it?
Actually, you know, it was brought by my grandmother. Now, we asked again
Yes.
in this survey to say, what do we want to be remembered for as leaders in the organization?
Yes.
None of us said we want to be remembered for the cars we drive, for the money that we make, for the business we acquire. We wanted to be remembered for people, for the lives that we changed.
The lives have
And for me, that is very important, because if I can be able to change somebody's stars
Yes.
from being an operator to a production engineer, I'll go for that. Somebody changed my stars. I was going to be a cop.
Yeah.
Now I find myself
Yes.
heading a $2 billion
Yes.
operation.
Yes.
Then somebody did change my stars.
It's very, very important. I think if everyone, shared that and practiced that, I really, really, really think would be fun.
Interesting
I think
enough,
it
it's
would
our
be-
African value. If we can remember who we are as Africans,
Yes.
the spirit of Ubuntu can take us
Yes.
very far.
Sure.
Hi, my name is Terance Nkosi. You are watching Black Ambition, the best show.
But what is your vision for your life?
My vision is that first and foremost, Africa is not poor. It worries me that Africa we are being seen as poor. I have a dream that I shared in personal testimony. We were asked to share our change story at Rand Refinery.
Yes.
And I shared my change story that it is my wish that for Africans that we should be proud of being in Africa. And second to that, we should uplift the flag of Africa. Especially in the space where I met from the goal side, that we should share more of what we do so that we don't allow people to come and take over,
Yes.
but we run our own things.
Yes.
So my vision is that if I can share the message of saying that we can do more as Africans and together, then I'll be helping grooming talent so that we can export a lot of South Africans all over Africa and bring in a lot of Africans to South Africa so that we can uplift the continent. Because we're never that continent. We're actually the cradle of mankind.
Absolutely.
Yeah, so if I can just share that image,
Yeah.
my life will be helping transform people's lives.
Sure. Well, this is a platform to do that.
Yes,
And you've
yes.
just done that.
Thank you.
Thank
If,
you very
if I can
much.
share that message to the young people out there that
Yes.
there are a lot of things, opportunities in Africa. We're a minerals-based continent. If we can do that and realize that and size the opportunity, this thing of a Gini coefficient we talked about, this thing of poverty, elevation, people being suppressed at home, especially women,
Yeah.
can change.
I believe it can. Thank you very much, Terance.
Thank you.
This is the end of our interview, but I love everything that you have said today. I've learned so much myself, and I take away so much, and I'm sure everyone watching this will appreciate it as well.
No, thank you. I hope I was, in a small way, a catalyst for change.
Definitely. Not
Thank
even in
you.
a small way.